Hi, my name is Oliver. I'm from Olivier, and today I will try to explain you how to create great cities with the help of the Seascape for Unity. Uh, First of all, you have to download Seascape City System, import this package. Also for this tutorial, I have imported post-processing stack from Unity. It's a free package. And standard assets environment package that which you can find here, import package environment. Once we have opened our Unity and a new scene, we can create Seascape City by clicking with right mouse click and going here, Seascape, create megacity. This will create an object, empty object, with another sub-objects in hierarchy. You will see now in Inspector that we have two warnings. Warnings for best visual appearance, switch your project to linear color space. Seascape is made to function with HDR and linear color space. This is the only way to get a realistic environment that can be used on modern systems and modern rendering workflows. We have to click on the first one, and now our project has been set to work in, you can see here, linear color space. Another option is warning, set graphics API building settings. This will set correct APIs for various devices if you want to publish for Android, iOS, macOS, and Win standalone. The main thing about Seascape is that it uses shader 4.5, and these shaders aren't supported on all platforms, but it will work on all new devices. I will set this one just to be sure that if I want to switch platform and so on, that all shaders work and doesn't give compiler errors. Then, the first thing that we can do when we import is to generate our city. It's a simple click on a button, generate city. This will generate a city with the settings of our with the default settings, let's say. You will see that this city consists of buildings, streets, tops of the buildings, and we will have many different objects. One of them are, for example, buildings. Each building can be moved, scaled, not scaled, but resized by its own tools. You see, you have these small circles that can help us resize every building and move it. You see, this is intelligent type of resize. It's not only like scaling, but it will repeat those elements of our base mesh. Other than that, we can also generate, for example, street details. In this case, the default city comes with only with lighting poles details, but this can be customized and set also with other objects. In this case, we made a set of lights, and also what we can set add foliage. This will use a tree that comes with standard assets. That's why that's why we imported environment from standard assets. So this will fill our city when there is a space to put trees. It will fill trees. In some cases, you might find that your city has too many objects. For example, that here we have probably too many details on the top of the building. Well, it can easily be fixed or manually. For example, if I go here on my building and look here, I can find CS rooftops script. I can change here a rooftop density. So this will add or remove details from our rooftop. You see that those buildings hierarchy here in Seascape is a little bit different than the one that we find usually in Unity. Like you have your main object and you have your smaller objects and things like that. In this case, we have our main building as one object, and if we click on the rooftop details, you will find with the same naming convention this object under rooftop details. This type of hierarchy is made to make Unity work faster, to make it a batch in a more efficient way. So, but even if this rooftop isn't a child of our building, if we move our building, also the rooftop will move with it. Also, if we resize our building, rooftop objects will be generated accordingly to this. For example, also on this rooftop, we can specify random seeds. So if we don't like something on our roof or we need something else, we can move and set other objects as rooftop objects. I would turn right now selection outline so you can see it better. Okay. So what happens here is also that we, for example, have a river here, but this is an add-on to Unity, to Seascape, but we are not tied to use it. So we can, for example, go to our Seascape city here and go to city size settings and say river position. We can put this to something like 10 because here we have number of blocks. Each block is an area between two streets. So if we take this and say something to like river position 10 and generate new city, we have a city without a river. But for this, in this case, we'll use a standard city. all buildings are practically generated with with a random seed that can be customized and moved. So if you, for example, generate one time a city with one random seed, you can always try another and then go back to the first one, random seed. You can change it here. So right now, when we have our city, as it was before, we'll see that all buildings are quite different. There isn't one building that is same as the other. Materials will change on every building. Though these buildings are low poly. What this means that they don't have too much polygons, and that all the relief that we can see here is just fake mapping. For example, if I go here into my mega city, one material, I can, for example, change depth scale, and we can set this to something bigger or less. In this case, it uses a default value that comes with Seascape. One of the particular things about Seascape is that all these buildings use the same material. You can see that this is the same material. What this means that I can change this building type procedurally by not by modifying values of the material, but by modifying values of a script. So if I, for example, say here that I want that my my face building has a combination of these two materials or one material. You see, I can change this. I can change, for example, IDs. Okay, I can change shape of all the facets. Okay, here I can change on front side, on back side of the building, okay, I can change, for example, this is subdivision ID. For example, subdivision ID gives us the possibility to okay, wait a second, where it is. Okay, high separation, okay, and width separation. So this will create repeating pattern between floors of the building. Also, you'll notice that that building has its interiors. This is all made by shader. So if you look, for example, here you can see how it changes. It's a sort of the parallax mapping. So what we can change here, we can change for every building, let's say, a shape of the windows of our. Here we can change shape, and we can choose from 20 shapes. Also, for example, there are 20 shapes for building floors, but, for example, down floors that are near to the floor level uses uses different different shapes than those from the windows. So we can change here its appearance and change everything. So this is let's say, okay, for example, you will see now that if I zoom out, those objects that are on the top of the buildings, they will disappear. This is because of LOD settings, and we can change those LOD level of detail settings. Yes, we can change them from a simple script that is in Seascape City, where we can say, for example, we have okay, we have too many objects on the floor and on the rooftop, and we say update rooftop LODs so that they disappear earlier, for example. Or we can even change this distance. That this is a good way to optimize some things on mobile, or in cases when we won't see the whole city. The same applies also for example, for these advertising panels. So I can say here, okay, use advertising LODs, okay, and if I move, right, it's too much. Oh shit! Right now it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Okay, because I turned off use advertising panels. No. Okay, yes, that's why. So now we can also change advertising density. This will override, unfortunately, all other buildings. So all buildings will have the same density, but it might. Okay. So in this case, we have these settings. What is good in this approach? As we have only one material, all this scene will be, and this is quite a small scene for that, for what we can do with Seascape. Whole scene will be easily batched. And this means that we can finish with really low number of draw calls. You can see here that whole city. Wait a second. Let's look at the city with the camera. Okay, we will see that this city has 61 draw calls. In this case, it has only 34 draw calls. So it's a really efficient way, extremely efficient way to render things fast. And Seascape, even if you use quite complex and large cities, will render fast also on mobile systems. Okay. Let's see now, for example, how we can make this city look a little bit better than right now. As Seascape uses this kind of PBR HDR rendering. Okay, let's put the camera here. Okay, we can take the advantage. Okay, let's generate again the city and generate all the details. Generate Add street details. We can, first of all, we go to our camera, and select deferred rendering in this case, but because deferred rendering give us possibility to use many lights and things like that. We don't need MSAA, and we will add post-processing behavior that we downloaded before from Asset Store. Here we will load post-processing setup made especially for Seascape. So it's we have to go to post-processing setups in Seascape folder, Seascape calibrated post-processing setup. Okay, this will add some reality to this scene. Also, we can see here that our shadows are pretty short, have a short range, so we can go here into the into project settings quality and set our distance to something like 1.5 kilometers. This way we will have shadows that covers whole city. Okay, this is another function. Another great function of Seascape is that all buildings are can be lightened dynamically. Only thing that we have that we need is one directional light in a scene. If we have this directional light when we create Seascape City, this script CS lights control will find this light and add it to its own script. Okay, so sometimes what can happen that you maybe take your direct light and you delete it, and Seascape City loses it. In that case, you will have to reassign in these two places here, sun and sunlight. What happens here right now is that if you rotate your light, all the buildings will animate their own lighting. You see right now like this. Okay. In this case, our sky, our directional light wasn't assigned to a lighting inside lighting settings of Unity, but if we assign it, it will work like this. So it will animate this thing. You see, so I can move my sun. We can simulate even a dawn. In this case, you will see that a river uses still an old image. So what we have to do here is to select our river and find our reflection probe. Go here to Seascape and find this R probe value, add another element, and we will drag here reflection probe. So now, if we move our light, that reflection probe that is made only for this river will update itself with the movement of a sun. Okay, so now you can see here how it looks. For example, all buildings, for example, have these lights from internal lights, and some of the buildings can have external lights. These lights can be controlled with few sliders here, like what color we want to use. Okay, we can change this color, or we can change the tiling of those lights, or even height. This is a simple way to simulate lights, nighttime lights, without having to use any additional lights placed in the scene. For example, also Seascape has the ability to add also street lights. Okay, here, and this will add many real-time lights, but in many cases you don't want to use this thing because it will slow down your rendering speed. Or you might use it only in a case when you want to bake your lighting. So you can see here right now that we can easily go from a nighttime city to a daytime city without any problem. Let's see how we can also set up a little bit of lighting in your scene. Don't use well, I'm actually not using baked global illumination, because you will usually have really big cities, and illuminating a whole city with baked textures will slow your render. Will fill your hard disk. You will have to use enormously large scenes if you want to have good baking. While with real-time lighting, you can use even and real-time shadows. You can use. You can put. You can make Unity become really powerful. So I will set here real-time global illumination, and in direct resolution we will set something to 0.0.05 texels per unit. This will only generate a small real-time lighting solution, but this solution is usually just fine for our purposes because it will give you that ambient lighting that you need. Also, of course, you can use much larger maps and so on, but that would require longer time to to bake and longer time to it will be probably much harder for your computer to render. So okay, right now I would like to show you one of the tricks in the workflow that I personally like. Seascape is capable of building you a nice looking large city, but this my personal opinion is that we humans can make things look much better than some procedure. Okay, so my main idea behind Seascape is that we can take these buildings and move them around, scale them, resize them, create places that may be, or places or buildings that are more physical realistic. So in this case, I will take this building, move it, scale it, okay, move it and stretch it a little bit, okay. Probably also rotate it like this and move it, okay. And combine it with another building, for example, this one. Or I can take this building here and I don't know, I can scale it like this, move it here, this one move it a little bit here and here and so on. You see, for example, right now I will have here one detail that goes into the building, but this easily can be corrected. If I select this building, I can go here in prefab configuration and set a region that has to be filled with objects. So if I scale it like this, it will fill only that region. Okay. Also, some buildings can have, let's find one of those. Problem is that there are too many buildings that I can see this. Okay, I will go here so I can find it easier. We have here buildings, then we have CS building details. Okay, if I go here, you will see that this building, for example, has balconies on it. Okay, so I can select building. Let's close this one and go here. In a CS array, and I can say, for example, maximum number of balconies in this case is 31. Okay, I can say put it to something larger, because you will see here, for example, if I move this, it will generate balconies until it goes to this maximum number. Okay, but in some cases, if your character or player won't be looking to in the sky, because maybe you have a fight here that is happening, or he is driving a car, you can also limit this number and set it to something like this, you know. So In this way, you will optimize things a little bit. Or you can maybe say, okay, I want to skip all rows. Okay, for example, to skip 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. Okay, right now we have. Okay. Also here we can do the same thing. We can make it. So there are many buildings that can be modified, many things that can be completely changed. For example, right now maybe I'm looking my my level, and I see that all those lights are too near and that there are too many lights, even if they are all loaded and they can work perfectly. But maybe I want to lower the number. I can easily go here in the load, where it is, okay, load manager, and I can say, for example, that my pulse distance should be larger. So I put it like that. Okay, then this is too large, but we can say something like, no, wait, 20. Okay, 20 and 30. Okay, so we can have less of those objects and probably have a better performance. One of the tricks that I'm using, for example, is that I'm not using one single city, because you will notice that as Seascape generates those cities, it will generate all parallel streets in a rectangular pattern. And this maybe isn't something that you want. So you can, for example, even change this manually. So I can move, for example, my street like here. Move this object. Wait a second, okay. And okay, move this object here with a snap. Scale this one here. So we can make these things manually. For example, in this case, I don't want this building anymore here, maybe. And I don't want this building here, but maybe I want to move this, okay, here, and this one. Okay, this, we can scale this one here, okay, and we can move this one here. Okay, so this will give us opportunity to okay, we have deleted that one, and for now you have to manually delete also objects that are there. So there is another trick that we can use, for example, to resize buildings, and this is that we can go into a Seascape, okay, here, city size, no wait, okay, city size, and we have this city center object. In this case it is placed here, but maybe I want to say that my center of the city is here. So I can go here in city size, click on this modifier in this curve, and as I move my curve, you will see that this center of the city scales. I can even move those heights in the say, okay, I don't want that. I want that all these buildings are much taller or lower. Okay. Okay. One of as I started, one of the things that I want usually that I'm using usually is that I generate my city. I start, for example, from a city size of let's say 12 blocks here and 6 here, center river. Okay, let's say generate city. So that in this way I create my central section of a city with a river. Oh no, let's say even more. City size, let's say here 15 blocks. Okay. Okay, now we have 15 blocks. And now I can create another mega city. Okay. Let's rename this one to Mega City 2. I will actually treat this city as a block, as a district. So I can change something, a random seed. Okay, city size, I will leave this, let's make it even smaller. Let's make it 3 by 5. River position, we'll put to something like 10 because we don't want here a river. And we will say generate city. You see, right now I will have here another block. So if I want to move this block, I'll take it with a control button and move it by snapping it to a grid. So right now we have here, let's stop this language settings. I will stop this lightning generation because it slows down a little bit things. Okay, so I can even take this one and duplicate it, move it here, and change something about this size. Okay, let's say, oh, I want larger distance between blocks. Okay, I want another center of the city so that it follows this city here. You say here generate city. Okay, so I can take this object, maybe move it here. Okay, we have to move it another. Okay, so that it stays on the border. All Cityscape units are Cityscape uses its own units that are 3 meters by 3 meters. So it's like it's the value that is most common in architecture, and it can snap really easily to a grid to Unity. So I have chosen this one as a perfect value, because usually you will have a floor that is 3 meters high, and you will have a street that is 3 meters wide, so it's pretty easy to control this. For example, right now my streets can have different materials. For example, for sidewalks, for road. So for now, this there aren't too many textures yet, but this will come with next updates of Seascape. So, okay, so we made this city like that. We can take right now another block, duplicate it, okay, change random seed, say generate. We can, for example, right now it generates buildings for each block in this way, but we can, for example, go here, city size, and say, okay, I want that my that my division by block is 1 to 1, so that every block has one single building. So I can say, okay, generate city, and this will be filled with this type of buildings. So, for example, if I want to make industrial district, I can use these low buildings and change them manually. There are some tricks also that you, for example, if I click here and I go to Seascape, layout tools, I say split X, it will split this and generate another building. Right now this doesn't work very well. I will have to correct those scripts a little bit because there were some changes in layout system lately. So I can even, I don't know, here. So this is for me best way to generate the city, because in this way you can have that artistic control that is really okay. So this is our city. Well, also, if you want, you can always take one district, for example, this one, and maybe rotate it, set it in some another position. But in that case, you will have to manually fill in those areas that are empty. Nice thing about this is that this really works fast. It's fast. You see, right now I didn't even do any I don't have here any type of occlusion baking, but I have this big city with only 70 pascals. So I think this is all that I wanted to say this time. See you soon with the next video. And thanks you for watching.